Hello, welcome to this episode of the Jewellers Academy podcast. My name is Anna Campbell. I'm the community manager for Jewellers Academy, and today the host of the podcast. And I am joined by the amazing Jessica Croft of Homebird Jewellery. So Jess's business, Homebird Jewellery, it's coming up for its 11th birthday this like in June, so really super soon. And I know you've got some brilliant plans coming up for what you're going to be doing for that, so we may get a chance to have a little bit of a chat about that. And so yeah, we're talking today really about your journey in jewelry over this, well, longer than 11 years, but your business journey, also because you have done all the diplomas, well, nearly, and talk a little bit about why you chose to do them, how that has helped you develop yourself and your business, and all the fun things. So, welcome, Jess. Lovely to chat to you as always.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always good to chat with you, Anna.
Yeah, exactly. And we've this is our second podcast, and I'm
It's-
going to link back to our other podcast because we did one not that long ago about running collaborations for your business. So, and we had some great top tips for that. So I will share that because that was also a super great episode.
yeah,
So I know it was great, wasn't it? We had I think we couldn't stop. We had so many tips. It was like, yes, let's keep going, let's keep going. But can you say a little bit about Homebird Jewellery, and how you got into jewellery making in the first place?
yeah. Well, it's been a journey to say the least. Homebird jewellery started out mainly with metal stamping and using metal punches and kind of those traditional tools to personalise jewellery and some accessories. And since it's just developed into much more developed jewellery techniques, fine jewellery. I now work with gold, which is very exciting, and lots of stone setting. But at its core, it's all about, our homemade jewellery is all about trying to create jewellery that tells your story and really like embraces who you are as a person, because it's those beautiful little quirks and personality traits that make us who we are, and usually that comes from our story and our journey. Um, and yeah, I like to
Mm,
put that into metal.
yes, I adore that. I mean, and I'm obviously we've worked together on our collaboration for the Good Girl Rebellion, and I always wear my Homebird jewellery ring. That's on there all the time, and I think that's what I love about your particular jewelry brand and what you do is because it's around that personalization. It's around jewelry that has a message for the wearer, whether it's a kind of overt message or whether it's just for yourself. It becomes part of that. It kind of it's something that we wear. It's like a ritual. It's
Mm.
not just to look pretty, although it does that too, but it's around having that message and that meaning, and that's why I love it. I love wearing mine too.
Yeah, definitely about that like deeper meaning and kind of symbolism. I love love symbolism.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I definitely I could definitely get that about you, definitely. So just coming back to when you first did our diploma in silver jewelry, which is our year one diploma, which is suitable for beginners, although you weren't a complete beginner at that stage, of course, because you'd had your business for a few years at that point. But what was the draw for you to take that course?
For me, at that point, I'd been in business, like you say, for a little while. I started the silver diploma in 2021, many moons ago. Feels like a lifetime ago, actually. Um,
Weird, isn't it?
yeah, and I'd kind of got to a little bit of a stop gap, really, with my business. I'd taken lots of little short courses, online courses, looked at the University of YouTube many times, and been really self taught and pushed myself in my skill set. And I'd kind of got to a little bit of a stop. I'd stopped learning, I stopped doing new techniques, and I felt a little bit lost and a bit like unmotivated. Um, and I'd obviously been part of the Jewellers Academy community and the Facebook group and everything like that. I knew this course was coming up, and Uh, what I don't often share is at that point I'd probably not given up, but I was at that point where I just thought I'm just not sure that I'm cut out for this. I've lost my mojo, I've lost my creative spark, all that has kind of just disappeared, and I was starting to get frustrated. Um, I didn't know whether it was because I didn't know the techniques very well, I was getting in my own way, whether it was just because, I mean, in hindsight, I know it's because I didn't have my community around me. Um, but yeah, I saw the diploma and all the different techniques that I could learn in that 1 year. And the main draw for me was that I could do it online. Being up north and from Hull, there was not many courses around, and I didn't quite fancy a 4 hour trip to London there and back
Yeah.
to go to do anything in person. So this coming up, it just seemed to, it was almost like a little sign that was just that kind of last chance, that last push of just like, I think I think I can get my spark back, and let's see how this works and see if it, bubbles it up again. And spoiler, it did.
I love that. I think there's quite a few different things in there. I mean, I know, as you said, you already had a business, and you'd been selling. You've been selling. I think on your own website, on Etsy, on the high street as well. Which, frankly, not everyone gets on not on the high street.
Well,
Um,
the diplomas, not on the high street. So before then, it was just Etsy and website. Um,
okay.
and I was having lots of sales, and I was making the things, and um, it was fine, but I didn't have that kind of spark about it anymore. Um, Enter the diploma.
Yeah, and I think then that's another good point that you made around being able to do it online, because so many people they just physically can't travel anywhere to get to that level of course, especially when it comes to the more advanced techniques
Mm,
that are covered perhaps in the fine and the advanced, but even some of the silver diploma as well. There just isn't anything nearby to them to be able to do that. And then they, in the UK, doing a degree is very expensive now.
yes.
um uh, and also it might mean like moving to a new place for 3 years, having to give up your job, not being able to pay the mortgage, and all of those kinds of things. And I think that's a key point for a lot of people is it's online, it's pre-recorded and professionally filmed, so it means that you can watch it when you're ready to watch it. So different time zones, doesn't matter. Can you say a little bit about the course and the course materials, actually, like, and the modules themselves?
Yeah. So one of the things that I really liked is that the course was kind of set out for like incremental learning. Um, and that's the greatest thing. I had the journey mapped out for me,
Yeah.
and what I was going to do, what week I was doing this project, and then every week that project was released at the beginning of the week. There was videos, and the filming of the videos is so good. It's so zoomed in, and it feels like you're actually there. And if you were to do that in person, you probably couldn't see that great anyway, especially me being a short person, having to look over everybody's shoulders. So I could see everything. I pause it, play it, stop it, rewind it as many times as I wanted. And there's also PDF notes that come along. So if, like me, you love the video and like to do it alongside what you're making, that's great. But I know that I used to print the PDF out as well, just as a little cheat sheet up my bench to kind of keep me motivated and keep me going. Just a little point by point. So if you're more of a reader, that's great. And yeah, they're not everything is released together, so it doesn't feel overwhelming, because that's one of the things that I get a bit frightened of, is the overwhelm. um
Yeah.
so yeah, it was every week released, and you could just and not everything was handed in at the end of each term, so you could pick up each week, and if you were busy one week, then it's not so much of an issue. You can catch up whenever you want. There was real flexibility of when you could engage with the course content.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have people who work full time who, have young kids or they're carers, or there's so many different people in the community with different needs. Different places in the world, like in Australia or New Zealand, so the time zones are completely different as well. So, I think having myself filmed courses with our film crew and filmed many courses for the diploma in silver metal clay, um, I know, like, we've worked with the same film crew for a number of years now, and we do get it professionally filmed. We have multiple camera angles,
Mm.
especially when it comes to the advanced diploma and those teeny tiny stones, part base setting and channel setting and all of that kind of stuff. It, honestly, you're getting such a great close up that you, like you said, you would not get if you were looking over someone's shoulder in
Yeah.
a workshop.
Even in person,
um,
it's impossible to see it that close, and you realise just how good the filming is when the materials come and they're teeny tiny stones, and you're looking, I was like, I can't see them. And it's
yeah,
incredible that you be able to see and the detail that you get, especially when you're working at that level.
yeah. It's so funny, actually. Some of our film crew have started making jewelry because they just got so into it. They've watched all the courses being done and being filmed, and I just love that they're doing that now. Anyway, that's by the by. Um, So you did the silver diploma, which is it, you can do from beginners. So if you are a beginner listening to this, obviously Jess had got a business in beforehand, but for a long time the silver diploma was our only diploma. And because it covers, like, all, not everything. I think it could cover everything that you need to know. I can think of some people out there who have got very thriving businesses who have only done that one, like,
Absolutely.
and that's fine because there's so much in that course, isn't there?
Yeah. Um, even even saying that I had experience before the silver diploma, there were so many things that I didn't know how to do. And I remember chatting with Jess over Instagram, and she kindly sent me a voice note to look over the work that I'd done and see, well, you could probably go into the fine diploma, but you would maybe need to refresh this skill and this skill and this skill. And I thought, do you know what? We'll go back to basics. Because although I did have a thriving business, there was some even base level skills that I didn't know how to do. I was very, very nervous with a saw frame. I would avoid it wherever possible using my saw.
Mm,
And essentially, that's like week one of the silver diploma
good.
piercing. And it's something that I use all the time now.
I know. I was just thinking that you do that all the time with your business.
Yeah. And I love it now, but I didn't love it before. I guess I just wasn't taught in the right way. But it's yeah. So even having those skills, there's still something, and it's such a like breadth of different skills, different stone setting, wax, working with wax, like the saw piercing. Oh, there's so many things for a
Yeah.
course.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was certainly designed, and we've taught it for a number of years at the London Jewellery School, and I was a mentor on it there. And that was our only diploma. And then people who done it were like, "What's next? Like, what can we do next?" And so we were like, "Okay, challenge accepted." And so the fine diploma is our year two. And if people, like you were just talking about, like, if you have some experience of jewelry making, you can choose which one to go into, whether to start with the silver and kind of bed in your skills, because there will be quite a lot on there that you won't necessarily know. Or if you have already got the skills, you can go straight into the fine diploma. We don't make you make you go from the beginning, or you can even go straight into the advanced if you are quite an advanced level jeweler. But what meant, because I know you kind of went straight through and did them all in 3 years, I think.
Yeah.
So what motivated you to do the fine diploma?
I think I was one of those people that got to the end of the silver, and I was just like, well, I want more. I want to learn more. And I had such a good experience in the silver one. Like I say, I was in a bit of a funk when I first started, and I wasn't sure if this was going to be it. And this was either make or break. It was gonna tell me whether I was should be doing this or not. And obviously,
Here we are.
Should have I definitely should have been doing it. Um, so it just felt a natural progression. I was kind of itching to do more techniques and just um I suppose I wasn't ready wasn't ready to let go of the community and the support, and I saw in that first year how much I got my creativity back and I got my spark back, but even skill set wise, how much I'd advanced from what I knew, and I felt like I could solder a ring, I could do basic stone setting, and I thought if I could do that within this 1 year with still knowing quite a bit of the course content, imagine next year when I know absolutely nothing of the fine diploma, all the things that I could do. It just seemed a no brainer to me.
Mm. Yeah, love that. And at that time, and we now have, I'm gonna plug it because this is my one, but the diploma in silver metal clay is now here. And we're just finishing off our second year of it. So this is our most recent diploma. I personally am a metal clay person more than a traditional silver and goldsmith person. So I'm always gonna plug it. And I know you've enrolled on it. I'm so excited to see you doing that next year.
I have, yeah. If I wasn't an addict enough doing the silver fine and advance, yeah, I signed up for the metal clay diploma this year. Again, mainly for fun because I'd been facilitating this past year with the metal clay diploma and seeing the amazing things that they were producing and just the versatility of metal clay and just understanding it a little bit more and seeing all the things that I could potentially do with it. When you can see the potential of how you can add it to your business and add it to your
Yeah.
making, it kind of seemed like a inevitable thing that I was going to take the last diploma.
The
um,
last for now.
yeah, once this one finishes, you're going to have to make another one for me because I don't know what I'm going to do. And I had that year out between the advance and the metal clay,
Yeah.
and because I thought, well, I'll teach myself a few new skills, and spoiler, in the year that I wasn't doing any diplomas, for me, I realized it was really important to have that accountability and to have that check in every so often and have those projects to keep pushing me. I need that like gentle nudge. Um, and so I went all in and I was like, let's just do this other one as well because why not? It seems fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a good point there. We have had some people who will do a diploma and then they're like, gosh, I've learned so much. I really want to bed in my skills and I want to practice. I want to take a year off before I do the next one. And what we've found is that that sounds really sensible and yet no one does it. Everyone thinks that that's what they're going to do and then ends up not doing it because you do get lifetime access to the course. You can go back, you could go through and do some of the projects again or do make your own twist on them and all of that kind of stuff, which is amazing. But we found that it's building that momentum
Mm,
of your weekly projects, or when it comes to the more advanced projects, sometimes they're 2 or 3 weeks long because they're a little bit more involved. Those deadlines, those chats with your mentor, there's just those fortnightly calls, and all of that really helps people just to kind of keep going and to stay the course. And I really think I'd be the same as well. I'd be like, gosh, there's so much here. I just need to bed this in and just need to practice. But then I know myself and be like, I just know it's unless you've got some kind of real kind of accountability or whatever in it's really hard to actually do that.
yeah. And there is still a break between each diploma. It's not literally like hand in day, then the next day. I mean, I kind of wish it was hand in day, and then the next day we start the next one. Um, so yeah, and when I kind of finished the advance, I thought, well, I've been learning for 3 years that maybe I should give myself a break, give myself a little time to kind of get those skills centered and go over things. And in even just after the first few months, I really missed it. I missed the projects and the community because it is a little bit, it is accountability. Obviously, we've got deadlines because we all need deadlines, but there is so much flexibility. There's no pressure or kind of stress or there's no shame in if you come to a call and you haven't watched the video or you haven't done the work. It's not, you don't get told off, and I love that. Um, being a good pro forma good girl, um, yeah, I don't want to get told off for not doing my work. Uh, and there's always people in the community to kind of say, yeah, we've all got stuff going on. Um, and just to support you when you need it. And whilst I did have that on Instagram, yeah, it was the accountability and kind of going back into the courses and sharing the experience with other people as well. Um,
Yeah.
no one gets what you're going through other than, other jewelers and other diploma students.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's interesting around now that we have the diploma in metal clay as well, it's almost like we've got this track that you've done, which is the silver diploma, the fine diploma, the advanced diploma. That's a kind of, it's almost like a 3-year degree. And in some ways, we had a meet the mentor session last night with some of the mentors on our courses who are completely amazing. And, some of them that have done traditional jewelry degrees said, I'd never learned how to set a stone.
It's
Like,
crazy.
in 3 years. In
Yeah.
3 years, they didn't learn how to set a stone. And the things that they focused on was around much more on design and things like that, whereas the diplomas are around much more about creating a portfolio of work to then go, if you wanted to become a bench jeweler, so if you wanted to work for someone else, you can kind of take that and say, this is what I can do. It's about showing and showcasing the skills that you have learnt.
Mm.
And there's no essays either, by the way. Sometimes people are, especially if English isn't your first language, and you'd be like, oh, I don't think I could write essays. We just don't have any of that kind of stuff at all. It's all around the practical nature of it, of like, of making, of doing particular skills. And I think that's one of the benefits. But having the metal clay now does make it a little bit different. It's quite interesting because you could do the silver and then go on to the fine or the metal clay, or you could just go straight into the metal clay. And the fine and the advanced, I'll see if you think you agree with this, but they are quite stone set heavy. So they are more of those advanced level stone setting techniques. And it is much more of that being ready to work in gold, to doing wedding jewelry, maybe engagement rings. Whereas the metal clay is a little bit different because it's just a different way of making, because you are working with like a clay. It's a manufactured material but with silver particles in it, and it is real silver. And there's very little soldering. So if soldering's not your thing, metal clay could be could be a good thing for you. But it's just a different. I think it's just a different mindset, a different way of being creative. So I'm going to be interested to see how you get on with it. Mm.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree with that. I feel like the way that you make things, it's almost a little bit it switches things around. With metal clay, there's a lot of creating to prep and get ready the piece for the greenware stage before it goes into silk kiln. And once it's fired, there's not that much polishing and finishing that needs doing. If you do it right, if you do it well. Whereas with silversmithing, it's you kind of go, it's very heavy handed. You go in and you kind of you file and you saw and you cut things off, and it's it's a different pace of working. I found that whenever because when we did the silver diploma, there was a module in melt clay, and it's very slow paced, which is much more my kind of way of working now. Um, you have to have a gentler touch. It's different equipment, or whilst you use a lot of the same equipment, but yeah, it is definitely. I'm interested to see how it goes. As a
Me
heavy handed
too.
Smith.
I think it's interesting. I think it's going to lend itself quite well to your storytelling vibe.
Mm,
Because I feel like you're going to, take that whimsy, the year of whimsy that you've got coming up in your business, which I adore. We'll talk about later, maybe. And I just feel like there's a lot that you can do with it, and just take. I think that's the other thing as well. You can utilize all of the skills. So
yeah.
like once it's silver, once metal clay is fired, it's silver, and you can do all of the things you can do traditionally as well. So that's why it's exciting, and to have all these different options is
Mm,
awesome. I just love that. Okay, so Can you think of like one project or one moment in the diplomas where you were like, "Oh my gosh, I'm a jeweler"? I know you were a jeweler before, but do you know what I mean? Like a fine jeweler, maybe. I don't know.
Where I
Any
felt it
thoughts?
myself. Yes, I know the exact moment. And again, it's pretty serendipitous that we're talking about this at the minute because the students are currently doing this project in the Fine Diploma, and that is the cluster ring from Fine
Oh,
Diploma. So
yes.
I wear it all the time. And it really felt like a moment for me. Not only is it absolutely fabulous, a fabulous design, and only a couple of years before, I would have had zero idea how it how to make it, how it would be made, how where I would even start. And so coming on to that project, uh, and Anelia teaches it so well with
Yeah.
breaking it down step by step. It didn't seem as daunting. It didn't seem as scary. I had Barbara as my mentor, who was so lovely and supportive in the Fan Diploma. And it was the first project that I really took a step back. I took my time. I listened to my own intuition. I didn't solder quite exactly like the video. I did it in my own way, and it worked out because, as I say, on lots of the calls, there's many ways to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Uh, and I did it step by step, and it was one of the few projects then from start to finish, and it's a little bit of a brag, start to finish, I did it in one go. Well, not in one sitting,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't have to remake anything. I didn't melt anything. And I thinking even probably even a year before, I would have had no idea where to even start. And the fact that I could do it and finish it, and I wear it every day, as that kind of little reminder, because it's a really kind of, for want of a better word, proper piece of jewelry, like a traditional fine jewelry.
Yeah.
And I thought, I think I can do this.
Yeah. I love that. I love that piece actually. And there's lots of what's interesting, as you said, it's almost like there's lots of techniques that you could do, but it's putting them together, isn't it? Because you've got some tube setting. Is there a claw setting in the middle?
Yeah, there's this
Um,
floor setting, and then it's a kind of domed setting underneath. So it's all things that I'd done previously, but just not
yeah,
in one piece. And the way that it was broken down, it something clicked in my brain, and I was just like, this is not as complicated. I mean, it's difficult, it's challenging, but it's not as
yeah.
complicated as it is. And then it made me realize that I've learnt so much just in the past like year to be able to think that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I adore that. I love that so much. And I think I love that you're wearing it as well as a reminder, because that's such a cool thing. But because that is a really amazing project, and there are some brilliant tutors on on the courses, like all across. And I think that's actually quite nice, is that you get to learn from lots of different types of jewelers and different people who have specialisms in different ways. But I want to pick up on one thing you said, and that is about that there's more than one way of doing things. And I think sometimes, especially when someone is a beginner and you're kind of looking at it, and you're like, what's the way? And it's kind of like, well, you could do it this way, you could do it that way. I think it is something to that you just become more confident, don't you, when you've done more making, to be like, oh, let's try it like this, or okay, that way doesn't really work for me, maybe I could do it a different way. It's that curiosity mindset as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's so many transferable skills, I think. I found that coming up to a project in the advanced diploma, which has 6 flush set stones. And we learnt to flush set in the silver diploma. I can't remember whether, I think it's in the second term.
Yeah.
And um, at the time, I struggled with it so much at the time. I was really proud of kind of my final piece, and I maybe didn't get full marks, but I did. I was happy with what I'd learned, and I hadn't really done it much flush setting in between then and then this project in the advanced diploma. So logistically, it would make sense that I'd struggle with it. But because I'd done so many other stone setting skills and I'd worked with different tools and really learn the way to problem solve if I was struggling with something, and ask and pick up those juicy little tips and those like nuggets of wisdom for all the from peers and tutors and everything. When it came to that, I just didn't struggle with it as much as I would have, but I'd not really done flush setting in the meantime. But because I
Mm.
learned so many different things, so you pick up on so many skills, and as you're learning more advanced ones, the things that you struggled with the level before just don't seem don't seem as much of a struggle anymore.
Yeah, oh, that's such a good point, and that's one of the things that we have around this that you mentioned already around the incremental learning. It's like everything builds. So you start off with the silver diploma. You start off with the real basics, saw file solder. Those are like the real basic skills that you need for any kind of jewelry making, like traditional jewelry making. But it's about like you learn one thing and then you kind of move on to the next thing, but you kind of practice the first thing, and then you move on to the next thing and you're practicing those things, and that's the way people are completely transform from September to July, when it finishes. Um, because you look at that first piece that you made in September, and you know that you're light years ahead of
Yeah,
where you were. And it just is the case, even whether you've done jewelry making before or you never have. It doesn't seem to matter. We found it makes absolutely no difference. People, because you're doing your hours, you're putting the time in and you're practicing things and you're giving it all a go. That's it just happens. It's
yeah.
magic.
And you
It's
can't see it while you're doing it week to week. And then even with some of the students that I've spoke to, even in the first term, they go back to the first project and they say, "Oh, I can see not issues with it, but see things that I want to fix or I could improve on." That I literally couldn't see a few months ago. And even though we've not necessarily been working on that project, because you've been working on other things and building those fundamentals and learning about polishing um, and learning how to use different files and all that kind of stuff, when it comes to redoing something, then it you have more knowledge already, and that's just in like one term, which is only like what, 10, 12 weeks, something
10
like that.
weeks, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I know, and I think that's just one of the things that we love. Like, I know you're now in the team doing the facilitating some of the fortnightly calls, and so I'm sure you can appreciate this side of it as well. Is that we just adore seeing that development, and the diplomas went online in 2020, because we know what happened in 2020.
Yeah.
um, and we'd already had the plans to do it, but it just pushed it forward slightly. And we're now seeing those people who did that silver diploma in 2020 and what they're doing with their career, because it can take 3 years or so to really like bed in your jewelry making business and get the profit going. And seeing some of those people and what they're now doing, and being able to quit the day job and really go all in. Some of the people have opened their own shops and they're employing their own staff already. It's just so amazing to see that journey, not just of like the journey of learning and developing your skills, but then where people take that and being able to open up and do their own business their own way as well. People are doing their own thing. It's one thing from our end and at Jewellers Academy. It's like, yeah,
It's
that's what we love.
Yeah, it's what you want for everyone, just to be able to do more of what they want to do and the more things that they love doing. And having all those different projects and different skills in, you really find the ones that you love doing. I mean, I'm a bit greedy. I like everything. Hence why I've done all three diplomas and doing the metal clay. But some people really find that they love wax carving and they go off a tangent on that. And
Yeah.
some like I learn of all the different or all the different possibilities that you don't necessarily have to make everything yourself. You could outsource, which is there are all the extra skills that, yes, you are learning making skills, but you learn a lot of business skills and a lot of kind of like insider information about the industry that people don't often like to share. But that's what I love about Jewellers Academy. Just generally, it is that community over competition, and we love to see people doing what they want to do and give them as much information as possible and as much opportunity to be able to do what you want to do.
Uh, I'm glad to hear that because that is absolutely something that Jess and the whole team like really value about what we do. There's a lot that goes into it. I think there's about 50 of us working behind the scenes, including you now. Um, a part of that team, and amazing mentors who have their own businesses and are willing to share their skills, because that's one thing Jess said she found when she first was trying to learn jewelry making herself, was that a lot of people were very closed minded about it, and they were like, no, I'm not, I'm not going to share that, everything, kind of very much like holding it close to themselves. And um and being able to find tutors that are so generous and with their knowledge, sharing what they do, it's just been, it's a joy, I think, to have found that and to have that, definitely. Okay, let's see. Well, we're going my list of questions. We're getting through them, which is good. Um, you've talked a little bit about this, but I just wanted to mention this because for me, this is a big deal, which is about mindset and confidence, and uh, and I think it isn't. I personally have been somebody who would kind of, what would we call, paper chasing, so like doing lots of certificates for the sake of it, to kind of get rid of that imposter syndrome of like, oh no, you can't do this. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not so much now, but in the past I've been on that, and we don't necessarily want. It's nice to have that certificate and to say yes, you've done it and you've achieved it. But I think, so there's that side of it for doing the course itself, but generally, how do you feel like from that moment of like, this is almost my last chance,
Mm.
I don't know where I'm at and I'm feeling a bit stuck, to now, what what has happened with your mindset, do you think?
Oh, completely different person, and it kind of it progresses year on year as well, and it has done. Um, I was so grateful for that first year in the silver diploma. I was very lucky. I had Kim as my mentor, and she was so compassionate and so understanding. And instead of me coming into the course and thinking, right, okay, well, how do I learn to do this properly? How do I learn to file properly? How do I, you know, well, this is the route that I have to go down. And everything changed when we had our sessions, and I was very insecure about my making skills. I'm not so much anymore. Not at all anymore, actually. I know what I can
No, not at all anymore. I hope not.
do. um, and yeah, and it was realizing that there were different ways to do things, and that actually it wasn't me that was the issue. And that's the great thing about all the mentors on the diplomas. They're also conscious of the the curses of being a jeweler, which is perfectionism, imposter syndrome, uh, yeah, comparison. And even though you're learning with other people, obviously we've said it's all about community of competition. You do start to compare yourself, and you do start to think, oh well, they can do this and I can't do this, and I should be doing this, and the should start coming out. Um, but then everyone in the community reminds you that you can do something. If you're having a bad day, if it's not good, if something is melting at the bench, and it will always melt. It still melts. Things still melt, and stones still crack. You reduce your risk when you learn more skills, but it still happens. And you realize that you're just a human being, and that's the difference between then. I would have really beaten myself up about it and said, "Oh, I'm a rubbish jeweler and I can't do this and I can't do that." And being around people, and being able to do projects that, so I could physically prove to myself that I can do it, because look, here's this, look, I did it, and here's the actual proof. But it is a lot of mindset, and you know, you do go on your own little journey, I think, with the diploma.
I think that's that's so true. I think, a person who's signing up to the diploma will do it because they want to learn those techniques. That's going to be like the key thing. And then perhaps the level of accountability and having the deadlines and having that support, that's going to be kind of alongside it. But I don't think we can discount how much that mindset shift, how important that is,
Mm.
because and I don't think it's what you'll sign up for the course for, but I think it's, in some ways, it's like the biggest gift you get from it, in a lot of ways, because you were in that space where you like, is this right for me? I'm feeling stuck, I'm feeling maybe a bit stagnant, whatever it was that you were feeling at that time. And you could have stopped and could have gone and got yourself a job and all of the fun things like that. At that moment, that could have been the path, and you wouldn't necessarily have gone on, this journey. And I think anytime we're learning anything, it's we have to commit to it, and we have to put ourselves in there and know that sometimes things are going to go wrong. It's not just going to be some upward trajectory, as much as we wish. As much as we wish life was that easy,
Yeah.
I think we all know that it's not.
Then it would be a bit boring though. I mean, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but it would be a bit boring.
It's true. It's true. It's that roller coaster. And I think it is important to think about that comparison part. I mean, we have a Facebook group, and we, sharing in there, sharing on the fortnightly calls that you get with your mentor to just check in with you and see how you're going. Sharing with your one-to-ones that you get each term, and everything like that. But it's so hard for any of us in any place to not look and kind of try and compare and do that. But we need to remember that we're not seeing absolutely, we see every single thing we go through, and every single up and down of our mood and all of that, we see that, and we don't see that from other people. You don't see the number of times that they did melt something or they did get something wrong. A lot of times all we're going to share is the final ta-da project, isn't it? So
Yeah, and one of the things that we speak about, or especially on the silver diploma, is saying about that comparison. And everyone is on their own journey. Everyone has different schedules, different commitments, different responsibilities. It is impossible to uh, compare to even those on the course who are doing the same projects as you. Um, we've all got different experiences, different transferable skills, and the only person that you need to compare yourself is to the person who you were yesterday. I know that's something that Sally House says all the time, and we love Sally. And
love that, Leah.
yeah, and I did take that on, and that's even after completing the diplomas and being in the calls afterwards. I mean, even then, I still am kind of learning things and learning things about myself, because you learn a lot. You learn what you like, the projects that you like, and the direction you want to go in. What's important to you in the business? Are you more an in-person person? Do you like to do, is it online business? Do you have to work around your family? And there's someone in the community, and the projects, yes, they teach you the technical skills, but then there's the extra behind that of how are you going to make this a reality? And everyone is championing each other, because we want to make it happen for each other. However it works for you. And that's not something that I had, I think, previously. And by having access to that support, and just again changing that mindset, I get so excited, and it's almost too. Can you get too excited? Probably not. Uh,
No, I don't think so.
uh,
Mm.
business now, and the direction, all the possibilities, and you just being around that makes you feel that. So yeah, that's what I love that about the diplomas and the groups.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I love. I mean, particularly perhaps around the silver diploma, because there's you get to try lots of different things.
Mm.
You get to try the traditional ways. You get to work with gold, although it's called the silver diploma. There's gold in there. There's wedding ring making. There's gold stacker ring making. So there is gold included too. You get to do the stone setting. You get to try wax carving. And I think what's nice about trying lots of different ways is you can narrow down what is for you. You might find something that you thought you weren't going to like. You're like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Or something you try, you're like, okay, I'm never doing that again. And that's fine. And I think it's all knowledge, isn't it? And I think it's we've curated it particularly. All of the courses are curated to give you a breadth of skill set that will serve you. And also, like, if somebody in 3 years' time, after you've done the diploma, asks you to do something, to make something for them, and you haven't done it since then, you can kind of look back and go back to the video and go, yeah, okay, I can do that. I've done it before. Or you can just say no, because if it's a commission and it's not what you want to make, you've got more knowledge about yourself and what you like doing and what you don't like doing. And I think all of that is great knowledge.
Yeah, and even the projects that you don't enjoy as much, because they will. It's even me, as as a greedy girl who likes lots of different techniques. There were projects that really got to me and I really struggled with. Some that I didn't expect to struggle with. But even those, I mean, especially those actually, they're the ones that taught me like the biggest lessons. It really forced me to slow down. It really forced me to ask for help and to go in the Facebook group and push yourself forward a little bit and say, look, I'm really struggling with this. I can't work it out. And that is something that I would not have done pre-diploma. I would not have reached out for advice. I would never have been on a Zoom call. And now you can't stop me from videoing
You
myself.
can't stop me talking on a Zoom call now on those calls, honestly. It's great.
Yeah. And so like, yeah, so there's the actual technical skills and then the business skills and then just the personal bits that you pick up along the way. It's incredible.
Mm, I love that. And I just want to say, because you've done the 3 diplomas, we don't talk about this very much, but you get the award. Can you lift up your award there? So if you're on YouTube, you can see this. I'll put a picture of one of the awards in the show notes. I'll do that. But when you do all 3,
Mhm.
you get a little trophy to have in your studio or wherever you want to keep it. And we wanted to do that to kind of just acknowledge those people who've done, or like, they do basically the degree, the full 3 years. And you don't have to do them all in a row. If you take a break and come back to it, doesn't matter. Like, if you do the 3, and the silver metal clay is separate. Okay, so that's not, sorry, that's a separate thing. But the award is particularly for the traditional silver and goldsmithing skills. So it's doing the silver diploma, fine diploma, and advanced diploma. And we love that people have got them, and but not that many people, because obviously, like, the majority of people do the silver diploma, and then some people, that's enough, they've done, and that's absolutely fine. As I've said, we've got some great people who've got amazing businesses just from that. Some people, they go on to do the fine and then the advanced, and that's much more on that traditional, a lot of stone setting kind of route, silver and gold work route. So, but we wanted to acknowledge those people and give them a little a little something, just to, yes, just to be like, here you are, you did it, like the stamp of approval. Every diploma, you get a certificate afterwards, by the way, with your name on, and all of that. So, you will get a certification each time. But we just don't talk about that very much. And as you have one, I thought I'd make you share it to everybody. Who's sharing it again? Like, I'm just gonna keep sharing it off. But it's just, for those people who love a little bit of an award, that's good. Let's just finish off with, for someone who is thinking about it, is maybe on the fence, who's thinking about taking the leap and doing whatever diploma is the right one for them. What is your advice?
I'm it really is to just go for it. And I know that's an easy thing to say because obviously there's time commitments and financial commitments and things like that. But every single diploma I've done, every project that I've done, like I haven't regretted anything. Like I've learned so much from it. In obviously in hindsight, it's great to look back and and I would do it all again, absolutely in a heartbeat. Um, the things that you will learn a lot, um, and you will learn so much more than that. Like you say, there's the mindset shifts and like the support and everything like that. You will get more out of it than you know. And it's easy to say, obviously, experiencing it and gone and being through it, to say someone who's on the other end, but trust and believe that there is so much to learn, and so much to be gained from it. I still have pals that I talk from my silver and fan diploma days, and we catch up with, and yeah, don't underestimate. I think the things that you will learn. If you're on the fence or if you're unsure, go for it. Just go for it. What's the worst that can happen? Nothing bad is going to happen. You're just going to learn more skills.
Yeah, I think so. I heard this thing and someone said when you're choosing between two things, choose the bigger life.
Yeah.
And I kind of love the way that that's said. It's like what's the thing that's going to move you forward? So even if you find that certain things aren't for you, or even we're talking about business particularly, but you don't have to want to have a business. We've got a number of people who really enjoy their jobs and they just really just love getting creative. They just love making for the sake of making and they just want to learn. You don't have to want to have a business. Equally, you can want to have a business and give up the day job and you can get there. And we have students who are doing that all the time. So, yeah. Oh, thank you so much. It's been brilliant having a chat with you. What I want to just I, I want to just say, because I know you've got a crowdfunder coming up to help support you in your business, and I know you're doing the year of whimsy, which I cannot. It's just so good,
Love that.
and I know there's so much. So, where can people follow you and find out more about what you're up to?
Yeah, well, I'm always over on Instagram. So my handle is at Homebird Jewellery, and my website is homebirdjewellery.com or .co.uk. I have both. Um, but yeah, I always hang out on Instagram. Anyone is feel free to drop me a DM or a message if they've got any questions about the diploma or anything like that, or my experience, or just want to chat. Or send me cat videos or flower pictures. If you look on my Instagram, that's all it's about.
Or
Um,
book recommendations?
yes, yeah, book recommendations, that as well. I love a book rec.
You do, and I know a little about your plans for this like 11th year of your business, and I just can't wait to see it all happen and unfold because there's just so much. There's so much. So definitely go and give Jess a follow over there, um, and yeah, and just get involved because there's so much. It's just too exciting. Sorry, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna gush about it. We will put all of the information about the diplomas in the show notes for you so you can go and have a little look. We do have some discovery calls as well at the moment where you can book in to have a one-to-one chat with one of the team. So if you're like on the fence and you're like, oh, I don't know which diploma is right for me, or you have any questions and you really just fancy a chat, that's absolutely fine. If you've just got a question you want to email and you don't really want to Zoom with us, also fine. Contact at jewellersacademy.com. Do get in touch. We're closing for enrolment for the diplomas that are starting in September on the 13th of June. So it's really coming up. And people do ask, because it's an online course, why do you close? But it is because we need to send out all of the kits, because we do have tools and materials kits available for those who want them. You don't have to choose that, but you've got that option. At the moment, we have some available. At the time of recording this, we're close to running out though. Um, and we need to be able to ship them worldwide, and that can take a little bit of time to get through customs and things, so we need to do all of the logistics of that, and we need to get all our mentors ready and know how many people we've got, and that's why we need a deadline. We need to know when
We
whether
all
you're in or you're not, so that's why. But thank you so much, Jess. That was really, really helpful. And I, as I said, I can't wait to see what's next for Homebird Jewellery. And maybe I'll be on with you this time next year talking about the metal clay diploma and how you've
most
yeah.
probably.
I most probably will. I most probably will. But thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you again next week for the Jewelers Academy podcast.